My name is Katie Carlson, and this is my presentation on Chapter 11, Healthcare Communication Ethics. There is no magic in communication about health, but there is a power that goes beyond description of communication that inspires and guides us. I chose to discuss this chapter because it hits so close to home for me. So in order to illustrate the main points from this theory, I will be using my own story. I call it the story of my fragile strength. I won't spend long on the subject of the diagnosis because that part all happened so fast. There were about 3 weeks in between my initial doctor's appointments, finding out what the heck this lump really was, to the beginning of treatment. During those weeks, I was processing, informing, preparing, researching, grieving, and going to about 1,000,000 different appointments. It was all so surreal. I did the tests, mammogram, sonogram, biopsy, MRI, bone, CAT, and CT scans. I met with all the doctors, and I had seen the x-rays. I'd heard, seen, and said the word cancer so many times, it almost seemed like it lost its meaning, like when you say a word over and over, and it starts to sound weird, and you start doubting if it's even a real word. Of all the words the doctors used, chemotherapy is the word that scared me the most. "You will lose your hair," my surgeon said in going over my treatment options. I'm glad she told me so bluntly and so early because I think it was easier to accept when the time came that I actually did lose my hair. My surgeon, compared to my oncologist, was very blunt about a lot of things. And after that first appointment, when I was officially diagnosed, I was left feeling quite a bit of despair. To climb back to health from a moment of inconvenience or deep abyss as a patient or caregiver requires more than physical strength alone. My mother was there from the very first doctor's appointment. She had to endure the same anxiety, uncertainty, and worry as I did. So when that phone call came and I had to relay the message to my mom that the results came back positive for cancer, her reaction didn't come as a surprise. "Oh God, why?" she yelled, followed by uncontrollable sobs. Later that week, we had to meet back with the surgeon who went through all the details of her recommended course of treatment. My mom cried through the whole appointment. When we went to lunch after, she asked me why I was handling the news so well, why I wasn't more mad or sad. "I'm angry at God right now," she said between sobs. "I'm truly angry at him." She was searching for answers and wasn't getting any, or at least not the ones she wanted. And truth be told, I was sad and angry, but I felt I needed to stay strong for my mom, and I knew if I started to cry that I wouldn't be able to stop. Each human face in healthcare communication ethics must find a why to meet the inevitable challenges ahead. Sometimes this sense of why comes from theories and ideas, but most often it comes from a human face that reminds us of the importance of finding the tenacity to meet the demands before us. This face was my mother. I cannot sit here and say that I was always optimistic about my future, because I wasn't. I read the statistics of stage 3 breast cancer, and I knew I stood about a 75% chance of survival. But I had to keep hope, for my mom, and in the end, more importantly, for myself. Healthcare communication ethics works with a good that gives us reasons to pursue health, endure recovery, and meet the ongoing demands and repeated anguish of human life. During my 14th round of chemo, I blogged that when life gives you chemo, make lemonade. My last chemo went relatively well, with side effects including extreme fatigue, hot flashes, and my least favorite, everything I drank tasted sweet. Nothing was refreshing. Water tasted like 5 packets of sugar was added. I had to drink unsweetened lemon juice and water. But if these are the worst of my side effects, I'll be a happy camper. I'm kicking chemo's butt. Cancer patients, imbued with a fighting spirit and a positive outlook, tend to outlive sufferers who adopt a passive, fatalistic attitude towards their disease. A growing number of scientific studies shows. The final example of communication healthcare I will touch on is that of the doctors and nurses throughout my treatment. Nell Noddings grounds her ethic of caring in a kind of human nature ethical perspective. Her bedrock assumption is that relation, human encounter and emotional response, is a basic fact of human existence. Natural caring is a relation that humans innately long and strive for and recognize as desirable. We respond as one caring out of love or natural inclination. Natural caring motivates ethical caring. We want to be moral in order to remain in the caring relation and to enhance the ideal of ourselves as one caring. The healthcare professionals are the real brave ones in all of this. They have to see and treat people like me day in and day out. It takes a certain level of compassion mixed with strength to do what they do. If I think into a world where doctors and nurses simply did their job with no level of care, just completing the duties they were assigned, I believe there wouldn't be as many survivors. It's the atmosphere and optimism that healthcare professionals provide that make the difference in a patient's well-being. In conclusion, simply put, healthcare communication ethics begins with a basic assumption about the human condition. We fall ill and lose, temporarily, and someday forever, our sense of robust health.